An ordinary guy suddenly finds himself transported to another world, along with a group of heroes. But while everyone else gains incredible powers, he's given a skill that seems completely useless in battle. So he decides to ditch the whole save the world thing and set off on a carefree journey full of adventures and cooking. The episode begins in the forest, where spiders are lurking, ambushing a wild rabbit. The wolf Makuta intervenes, blasting them with an electric shock that drops them one after another. Makuta finally appears and comments that they are foolish hairy spiders. He asks what they should do with them since they gathered so many. The wolf, Field, replies, "I don't know, but the poisonous tarantula shell is too tough to eat." Makuta is surprised. What? Are these spiders even edible in the first place? I think it's disgusting. Finally, Sue emerges from his hiding spot and says, "Is it over? I want to play." Makuta tells him, "Come on, my friend Sue, come out now. The coast is clear and everything is fine." The wolf gets angry and says, "Why do you always speak to Sue in such a friendly and lovely way, but you never speak to me?" Makuta looks at him with a puzzled expression and says, "How so? I talk and listen to you too, Field. Have you forgotten? Every day you tell me you want to eat this and that. I want meat. No, I don't want vegetables. No, I want a hot drink. Who does all that for you, Field, you silly wolf?" Field, now agitated, replies, Fine. Go prepare my meal then. I've been lying down all day with you two on my back. I need to eat a good meal. You should be grateful for the chance to ride on the back of a legendary magical beast like me." Before they leave, Makuta reconsiders. He activates his magical satchel and collects all the spiders, saying, maybe they'll be useful later. About half an hour into their journey, he ponders, what should we eat today? He sets up a table and brings out meat, but they eventually decide on eating gyoza. First, they need to get some gyoza wrappers and spices from the online store. He activates the store, and they buy everything in a matter of seconds. The delivery box arrives, filled with the purchased items, possibly ketchup, mayonnaise, and other secret ingredients. He then prepares the cilantro and vegetables. The vegetables are chopped, and then he adds some ginger and garlic paste to the ground meat. He also adds some soy sauce, sake, chicken stock powder, and finally sesame oil, salt, and pepper. Since you can't taste raw meat while seasoning, they have to add the ingredients carefully. Next, he kneads and kneads until everything sticks together. Then he adds the Japanese chives and the cabbage, which was salted and squeezed to remove moisture, mixing them well for 3 minutes. After that, they take the filling in the dough and wrap it like a stuffed grape leaf, trying to add a little less filling. Sue tries a piece and finds it very delicious. They arrange the gyoza and cook them over a steady medium heat. As soon as the color starts to change, he adds a water solution and covers the pan. After a quarter of an hour, he adds sesame oil, and finally, the finished product appears. The fully seasoned gyoza is ready. What do you think, dear viewers? Let me know in the comments if your mouth is watering. I added plenty of spices to the filling. It should taste delicious on its own. He serves it to Field and Sue, noting that adding some chili oil and soy sauce is also great. Field eats it and finds it truly wonderful. The meat and its juices burst in his mouth as he bites into it. The crispy skin and the meat are truly delicious. They continue eating, wanting another serving. Finally, Makuta eats his own creation and drinks a soda. Suddenly, he is greatly shocked when he finds a small red dragon clinging to his face. He screams, "Help me! Help me!" The dragon flies in front of him. Field assesses the situation and says, "What is this?" "It's a very rare Bekshi dragon. It wants food." Makuta offers it some food, and the dragon tastes it happily, devouring it in seconds and wanting more. Field warns him, "Don't underestimate this dragon. It's small but very powerful. These creatures are fast and truly skilled in all kinds of magic." The dragon looks at Makuta strangely, flies, and does something, then says, "This food is so delicious. Give me another meal." Makuta is stunned that it can talk. The dragon then adds, "I don't mind becoming a contracted companion if I can eat delicious food like this." Makuta is nearly speechless that the dragon speaks just like them. "Tell me, dragon, will you become a contracted companion just to get some food? Are you serious? You should reconsider." The Bekshi dragon replies, "Your food is the most delicious food I've ever tasted in my life. It's simple. Now I can eat even more delicious food if I stay with you." Field tells him that entering a contract with a human for a few decades is not a great loss for us. Then the dragon speaks to Makuta again and tells him, "The first thing you must do now, as my master, is to give me a special name." Makuta thinks, then says to him, "How about Dora-chan?" The other one gets angry and says to him, "Are you kidding me? Give me a proper name. Don't treat me like a child. I'm a grown dragon, 116 years old." But the name has already been decided on the list. Then Field tells him, "Don't expect anything from this detestable human. He gave me names before that all made me angry for some reason, and in the end, he named me Field." Then the dragon gets along with Sue very easily, bouncing on him as if he were a sponge or a spring that lifts him up. After that, the scene moves to the Adventurers Guild, where the receptionist girl says to him, "Welcome. Your familiar has been successfully registered." I never expected the day would come when I would register a dragon as someone's familiar. It's very strange. But listen closely. Our guildmaster has a request for you. He asked her, "Why me?" At that moment, the guildmaster, Rodolfo, arrives and says to him, "Are you Makuta? Pleased to meet you, you idiot. This must be your Bekshi dragon. I've heard of them before, but never expected to see one in person." Makuta approaches them and says, "What do you want, manager?" The manager gets straight to the point and wants to offer him a quest. Yes, it's about exploring the forest. The forest has been acting strange lately. It's not even mating season, but the monsters have become more aggressive. Makuta asks him, "Well, Why doesn't everyone just avoid the forest? The other one gets angry and says to him, we can't do that. The spider webs released by the insect monsters that live in that forest are the raw material we need to manufacture our town's high-quality textile. The town's trade will suffer if we lose the source of our raw materials. The town's trade will suffer if we lose the source of our raw materials. Can you help us with this? Makuta thought he couldn't take on such a dangerous mission and enter that forest. However, the dragon tells him that the northern forest is very easy, full of spiders that are very weak creatures. Suddenly, Makuta realizes that this is the very forest they were in just a moment ago, where they eliminated all the spiders that crossed their path. Field confirms, we took care of all of them with my lightning magic. The guildmaster can hardly believe it. Makuta pulls out one of the dead spiders from his supply gate, stunning the guildmaster, who is amazed he acquired it so instantly. Field interjects that he launched his attack in anger and punished it. Makuta apologizes, saying he didn't know these monsters were valuable to the guildmaster's town. But the chief doesn't just want them dead. He wants them because their meat is delicious, and these monsters have a great ability to reproduce. We often organized subjugation teams to deal with them, he explains. Makuta then pulls out all the spiders from his magical gate. The chief thanks him profusely, saying this is the first time a problem has been solved, even before he finished making the request to Makuta. He mentions that the poisonous spider shells and webs fetch a lot of money, and their meat is delicious when boiled in salt water. All of Makuta's animal friends are delighted and want to try the meat. Makuta asks the guildmaster to sell the shells and webs on the condition that he process the meat for them. The chief agrees. I will process the meat specifically so that it can be eaten immediately. After that, Makuta and his friends go to the market to check it out and buy some high-quality, cheap clothes. Makuta starts examining the clothes and finds the fabric quality to be amazing. The merchant appears and assures him that he won't be able to buy this cloth for such a cheap price in other towns. Field states that all clothes look the same, making Makuta angry. You don't care because you have fur to cover you, but I have my needs. Makuta buys some of the cloth and goes back to the chief, hoping the processing is finished. Indeed, he returns to the chief and finds he has finished processing the spiders. The meat has been separated and looks like crab. The chief explains that it tastes very sweet after boiling. Makuta eats a piece and finds it very appetizing, tasting like crab, but even better. Everyone gathers around, wanting to eat. Makuta prepares fried rice with lots of minced spider meat, a salad, and a crab omelet. He will also prepare meatballs if he has time, all to celebrate Dorajun, the great dragon. Everyone starts eating. Field says that the crab omelet perfectly combines the richness and sweetness of the poisonous spiders with the softness of the egg and a sweet and salty sauce, which is also delicious with the rice. They all eat happily. Dorajun is seen eating the hot food, as the fried spring rolls are very hot. Makuta roasts some more of the crab on the stove. It's not actually crab, but it closely resembles roasted crab. Field smells a different aroma from the food they were eating, rushes to Makuta and says, "You're hiding food from us. It smells so delicious." Everyone crowds around, wanting to try the food he is preparing. He offers them some, and they find it to be the most delicious food they have ever eaten, nearly melting in their mouths. Dora is very happy and says, "Thank goodness I met a cook like you. I have indeed heard a lot about you and searched a lot until I found you." In the evening, they return home and head to the warm bath, enjoying it. Makuta and Sue wished Field and Dora would join them, but they see them lying down. Dora says, "I can't eat another bite," and their stomachs are full. Makuta tells them that this happens often after eating crab. Makuta goes to bed as it was a very difficult day. "I will go to the guild tomorrow and deliver the shells to the guildmaster Rodolfo. I feel like I forgot something, but I'll sleep now." In the morning, Makuta delivers the shells to the chief, who is very happy with them. He also offers him some of the spider meat they hadn't eaten, telling him he has more. He opens his magical gate and storage to pull out more. He finds a giant earth dragon's head right in his face, the huge, troublesome prey that Field had hunted before. "I kept it stored, but I should do something about it," he thinks. He then tells the chief, "I heard there's someone who knows a lot about dragons in Dolan. Do you know who it might be?" The chief replies, "I have an idea." Makuta says, "I was hoping to find someone who could process this thing." The chief is astonished. It's the first time he's seen a giant earth dragon in person. "I heard you could buy a whole kingdom with one of those." Field boasts that it was no match for him, and the chief compliments him, saying he is very strong. The chief then hands Makuta a piece of paper with the address of the person who knows a lot about dragons. Makuta thanks him profusely. After that, they intend to head to Dolan. This concludes our episode. Wait for us in future episodes of this wonderful anime. Please subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. Our episode today begins with the great Makoto and the beautiful wolf, standing on the outskirts of the great country of Dolan. It's a very large city with a huge dungeon. Sui takes out the bag and says, "Sui wants to venture into that dungeon. I am ready for the adventure with bated breath." Then the dragon also comes and says to him, "Don't worry about the dungeon now. Shouldn't we process the earth dragon's meat first? We want to eat this meat," so they set off at rocket speed and finally reach the city limits. The walls were very high and they saw a large queue at the main gate of the city. But they must stand in this queue and show their guild card, or they will never enter that city. The wolf asks, "Wouldn't it be faster to jump over the walls?" Makoto informed him, "You idiot. If we do that, we will be instantly registered, and if we can't enter the city, we won't be able to process the meat you love." The wolf gets angry and says, "Well, there's nothing we can do." They indeed line up in the queue, but people are astonished and say, "What are these large creatures and that rare small red dragon?" At that moment, the soldiers see them and ask, "What is all this commotion? Who are you?" Makoto replied, "We are visitors from another country and wish to enter this city. I am officially registered with the guild," and he shows them his guild card. When the soldiers looked at it, they found that it was indeed not fake. At that moment, a strange man arrives and says to them, "A moment, please." Then he informs them that this man is his guest. I am sure he has two rare accompanying creatures beside him. Makoto asks him, "Who are you? Are you Elant?" He recognizes him and knows that he is indeed that long-eared elven man. Yes, my friends, he is the guildmaster of the city of Dolan himself, but when he looked at the little dragon, he was greatly shocked. At that moment, he takes them and hosts them in his private office. Makoto is very happy because he won't have to wait in that very long, wide queue. At that moment, he brings this strange thing and says to the dragon, "Please sit here." It was an object made of wood, infused with mana. I heard that pixie dragons only sit on this type of wood. After that, we see the guildmaster very excited, taking notes, and then he offers them tea. Meanwhile, the dragon offers him the flower nectar infused with mana. He was very fond of it and says, "It's truly great. Will you sell it to me?" But Makoto told him, "I don't sell anything. He is a friend of mine, and he wants me and no one else." Island said, "Fine. Let's go to the warehouse and start the processing immediately." The meat processing, I mean. They indeed arrive at the warehouse, and when he opens the door, he is shocked to find a man named Agor, who informs him that he has a meeting with the Merchants Guild this afternoon. The guildmaster asks him, "Can we cancel that meeting?" But Agor gives him a strange look that shocks him without speaking. However, Makoto speaks and apologizes to Agor, and the meeting time is indeed postponed. Then Island puts on the gloves and says, "Come on, show me the sample. I have been waiting for this day with bated breath for over 200 years. Before I joined the guild, I retired from being an adventurer and took up the position of guildmaster, hoping that I would bring out an earth dragon. But unfortunately, I never got the chance, and now the opportunity has come before my eyes. Come on, bring out what you have, Makoto." And indeed, he brings out that very great dragon, and the guildmaster is shocked and says, "Oh, the splendor. It is truly a giant earth creature. I can't believe myself. I can't believe that I will be able to discover the insights of this dragon at my leisure. But I am very expert in such things." Then he said, "First, we must record a complete record of this great achievement." He measures it with a meter, inch by inch and centimeter by centimeter, body length, internal organs, number of fangs, bite size, everything in detail. Then Makoto calls out to him, "Listen to me carefully. This dragon next to you, I've confirmed that its diet is not the flower nectar you gave it. What does it usually eat?" He informed him. "First, this dragon's name is Dora. As for food, it eats anything. I don't think it has a specific dietary ability or restrictions. We all eat the food I prepare for them, like meat and vegetables." The guildmaster was very shocked, and then Dora the dragon says to Makoto, who understands his language well, "They eat anything, but the main meal is meat." The guildmaster is surprised more and more and says, "What's the story? Is he talking to him or what? And how does he understand his language?" Makoto explains the matter to him. "He usually talks to me through telepathy." The guildmaster is shocked and grabs him, saying, "What? What? This is the first time I've heard of telepathy in my long elven life. What are you saying, man? Tell me the details of all this immediately." Then the wolf speaks to him and says, "Listen, you pampered boy. Be careful to cook the meat well and bring it out for us in the right way," the guildmaster informed him. Not only that, but the dragon's parts, such as the skin and blood, are very valuable materials that everyone strives to obtain. The wolf informed him that he is not interested in such things. They are worthless compared to the deliciousness of the dragon meat. He is shocked even more and says, "What? What? Will you eat the earth dragon?" When he looked at Makoto, he said, "Why are you surprised, guildmaster? We will all eat it together." He grabs his hand and says to him, crying, "Please, allow me to taste the earth dragon also. I don't mind giving up my share. Please, please." Makoto told him, "Actually, Phil is the one who decides this matter," referring to the large wolf. The wolf comes and says to him, "Listen carefully, Elant. If you can process the dragon meat correctly, I don't mind you sharing a small portion with us." Elant thanks him greatly. The scene shifts to the morning. Makoto and his group were sleeping on the floor and talking about the dragon. He says, "I am so hungry that I am about to die. I am starving, my lord. We must eat this meat today or I will do strange things." Sui was also hungry. Everyone is tired and ready to eat, but where is the food? Makoto thought and said, "Let's eat something from the internet grocery." The wolf asks, "Is there Wagyu? I want to eat it." He told him that they are holding a keto exhibition, which is a place in Makoto's world that has truly delicious food. "We will get food from there today. We need some Genghis Khan, which is meat that has already been marinated. They also have a set that comes with the beautiful pot, the delicious, well-stewed bean pot. And let's also get some pre-cut vegetables. We might add that souvenir too." In just moments, the box is sent immediately. It's a great thing. Everyone is truly amazed. Then he gets the gear, takes out the stove and starts the heating process in this pot without oil. After that, he adds the meat to the center of the pot and pours the sauce around it, letting it boil. We flip the meat when we see the sauce starting to form large bubbles. Lamb and mutton are the tastiest when we don't overcook them. After finishing, he serves it to everyone. The wolf sniffs it but finally tastes it and finds it very delicious. As for the dragon, he says, "This meat is so tender. I have never eaten anything this delicious before." After eating, each of them went to sleep. Makoto said, "It was an exhausting day, but everything succeeded in the end. The online supermarket saved me today, and I got it as a souvenir before." He holds some sweets, and Sui wakes up, wanting to try some. He eats one and finds it very delicious. Everyone wakes up and comes to taste these delicious sweets as well. He hands each of them a piece, and they find it incredibly tasty, melting in their mouths. Then Phil wants another piece because the size is too small for him. Everyone asks for the same. In the end, he gives them all the remaining sweets, and they are extremely happy. After a while, Makoto and his friends leave, showing signs of fatigue as they haven't slept. They head to the guild, where the Vice Guildmaster receives them. Makoto asks him about Aylin's condition with the Earth Dragon. At that moment, the Guildmaster comes out and says, "I am extremely excited now. I spent the entire night measuring, analyzing, and studying all aspects. Signs of fatigue and lack of sleep are visible in his eyes. He says, I am productive like this in my elven life." Makoto is happy then. Afterward, the Guildmaster puts on his gloves and begins the processing. But first he wants to draw blood because he wants to avoid damaging the surface as much as possible. He will use a special knife because the dragon's skin is very tough, so he brought the precious mithril knife belonging to the Adventurers Guild. He then starts using the knife on a piece of skin, and suddenly, the knife breaks. He and everyone else are terrified because this knife is a guild treasure. According to the records, Mithril should easily be able to cut the skin of this dragon. The Guildmaster says, "We must bring a knife stronger than this material, stronger than mithril, and we must bring it quickly." Phil is very anxious because he wants to eat the meat quickly. Makoto informs them that it cannot be processed for some time. Phil is shocked then and collapses to the ground, unconscious, saying, "We traveled all this distance to enjoy the dragon meat?" The Vice Guildmaster informs them, "Our guild does not possess another mithril knife. We might be able to get some mithril ore from the dungeon." Phil immediately stands up, his spirits lifted, and says, "This will be a perfect opportunity to vent this frustration." But Makoto informs him that the leader is exhausted today, so they must rest. However, Phil is determined to go to the dungeon. Makoto tries to stop him, but to no avail. Phil says to him, "There's no need for you to accompany me. I can bring some of this ore myself." But in the end, Makoto convinces them not to go today, as they will attract attention, and then they won't be able to travel and eat delicious food, and there will be a big problem. Then he informs them that it is time for food. They all rejoice. Our cook, Makoto, begins preparing the ingredients. He starts by frying some sliced orc meat and adds some vegetables. We can use the vegetables we didn't use in the Genghis Khan pot in the previous meal I prepared a moment ago. Then he adds some sauce to the meat with these vegetables for a while, and also some garlic paste to add some depth, as well as sesame oil. Phil says, "It smells so good. The garlic and sesame oil make it very appetizing." Makoto serves them the dish after it is ready, and he adds an egg on top of each plate to make it more appetizing. They start eating, and the food's aroma and taste are very delicious. They all rejoice. Makoto says, "Praise be to God, I managed to distract them from exploring the dungeon. Nevertheless, we must do something about processing the meat." The scene then shifts to some goddesses who are arguing among themselves. Then some gods appear to them. They are shocked, because the goddesses are hiding something from them, which is that they are coercing others into giving them gifts and offerings. But they defend themselves and say, "That's not the case. We are not evil." Makoto hears them from another place using remote telepathy. He says to them, "Please confine the disputes among yourselves." The man with the yellow hair says, "I am the god of blacksmithing in this world, Hephaestus." The other says, "I am the god of war, Vahagan." Makoto then asks the god of blacksmithing about the mithril knife. The god of blacksmithing informs him that he can make a high-quality knife from the same mithril ore, but he wants something in return for this. He wants some offerings, and also to grant them his power. Makoto asks them to grant their powers to Phil, Dora, and all his friends. Makoto then notices that Sui has a new skill, the blacksmithing skill. "Oh, we should try that when we get the mithril ore." Phil says, "I completely forgot. We have ore from the mithril lizard we hunted in the past." Makoto is surprised when he says that, and indeed remembers that they have this ore from the lizard. He says to him, "You knew we had ore, but despite that you tried to enter the dungeon." Then he takes out this ore and offers it to Sui, asking him, "Can you turn this into the same type of knife that the Guildmaster broke?" Sui attempts to do so and indeed manages to make a knife like it, an enhanced mithril knife, which is very strong. With this, they will be able to cut and process this dragon. And with this, today's episode ends. Wait for us in future episodes of this wonderful anime, The Chef Makoto. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive everything new. We also hope that those who followed us to the end of this episode will tell us where they are watching us from. Dennis was unjustly expelled from an adventuring party, so he decided to pursue his dream of becoming a chef and opening a restaurant, with the help of a girl he recently met named Atelier. Our new story begins with a group of adventurers battling a giant monster. Everyone is trying to defeat it when the monster unleashes a very powerful magical attack. The adventurers use a protective shield, but it shatters from the force of the monster's blow, injuring one of the female adventurers. Our hero, Dennis, approaches her and uses his magic to heal her. We then see the monster enhance its power, becoming larger and stronger. The leader of the adventurers, Vigo, then rallies everyone, telling them, "We are the Silverwing, do not retreat. We are the strongest guild in the world, and we will defeat that cursed monster." We then see all the adventurers at a meeting table. The adventurer Dennis asks, "Why was an emergency summons issued? What's the point of this meeting?" Vigo tells him, "The responsibility for the failure of our last mission rests with you, Dennis. If you hadn't used the Sound of Terror, the cave dragon wouldn't have escaped, but we would have defeated it immediately." Dennis angrily retorts, "You're the one who ordered me to use it." Vigo denies this, telling him that the mission was to defeat the cave dragon and collect rare materials from it. But the cave dragon suddenly went into a frenzy, making progress impossible. Dennis remembers what happened in the cave. When the dragon attacked them and wounded most of the adventurers, Commander Vigo ordered him to use the Sound of Terror. When Dennis did so, the dragon fled and the mission failed. Dennis then thinks to himself, "It's rare for Commander Vigo to make such a sound decision, so I was impressed at the time." Commander Vigo then addresses him directly, telling him that he would never issue such an order and suspects that Dennis orchestrated all of it to tarnish the guild's reputation. He also suspects that Dennis is a spy from another rival guild. He then tells him that he is expelled from the guild. Everyone is saddened by Dennis's expulsion from the guild. Dennis tells them that he will withdraw from their team since everyone wants that. When Vigo tells him that a cook like him joining the team in the first place was a grave mistake, Dennis becomes angry and prepares to use his power. Vigo also prepares to attack. Then he says, "The Silver Wing Squad is for skilled swordsmen, magic priests, and heavy swordsmen like me. It's for those with suitable professions, but there's no place here for a lowly cook like you." Dennis gets angry but calmly withdraws and leaves. We then see Dennis in the city, where he meets a little girl whose balloons have flown away. Dennis flies up, retrieves the balloon, and returns it to her. Dennis continues on his way. We see Commander Vigo watching him from atop a building, saying that the time has come to seriously implement the plan. We then see Dennis leaving the city, and his friend Katie rushes up, asking him to stop. She asks him why he was expelled from the guild and begs him not to leave, because if he does, all the things he was in charge of, like making medicines and practicing alchemy, will collapse. Dennis tells her that there are other adventurers with such skills who will take over. Katie tries every way to convince him to stay, telling him they will never do without him. But Dennis still refuses. She asks him what he will do next. He tells her he will cook, as that is his unique skill. He is thinking of opening his own restaurant. He then thanks her because she was the one who discovered him and invited him to join the Silver Wing. Then he leaves, his life as an adventurer over, and his new life as a cook beginning. He then heads to that city and begins to buy restaurant supplies. He buys a refrigerator but then suddenly remembers his favorite book, How to Open a Restaurant and Guide for Former Adventurers. Dennis then changes his mind about buying the refrigerator and tells the shopkeeper that he will use ice magic. Then he leaves the shop, saying, "Oh my, that was close. Maybe I'm a bit too excited about this. Alright, let's focus and do exactly as How to Open a Restaurant, a Guide for Former Adventurers says." Chapter 4 of this book. I'll study it well. You need to buy an old property, then renovate it to keep the cost down. Don't forget to contact distributors. He proceeds to buy some items, spotting a beautiful frying pan and taking it. He continues on his way, and after a while he finally has everything he needs. All that's left is the cooking, and more importantly, the customers. And customers won't come without good cooking and a good reputation for the place itself. But he needs to hire someone to help with some tasks. Next, he goes to the slave market and sees a man announcing a girl. Come closer, young sirs. This girl's parents were defeated in a power struggle and exiled. She became displaced and ended up here. Today, we are selling her at a good price. Come and take a look at these noble features. Dennis watches the girl and thinks, her hair is beautiful, her eyes are beautiful, her skin is beautiful. She's truly wonderful, and perhaps she is the daughter of a noble family, just as that merchant says. He sighs, if only I had a lot of money to free this girl. If only I could do everything. But unfortunately, I can't free this world. The girl looks at him with sad eyes, and Dennis remembers something. Perhaps a previous girl, or one of the places where they raided a home when he was fighting with his team? Everyone starts bidding. Some saying 100,000, others saying 300,000, while still others say 800,000. At that moment, Dennis says, I will buy her for 1 million. But someone else says, I will pay 1,500,000. Dennis is shocked by the amount, but this man is probably a pervert and his face shows it. Then Dennis says, I will pay 2 million. The man says, I will pay 3 million. Dennis says, 4 million. They continue like this for over an hour, and finally Dennis gets her for $5 million. He ends up using all the money he has to get the girl. He takes her to the hairdresser to comb her hair, make her look nice, and fix her up well. Yes, she's truly beautiful. Then he takes her, and they leave the place. Dennis takes Adler and they walk through the city streets. He tells her, if you don't follow me closely, you'll get lost. Adler walks behind Dennis, but suddenly he disappears. She searches for him but can't find him, and the city residents start arguing with her for not paying attention. Adler imagines many things and becomes scared, but finally, Dennis reappears and takes her, saying, I was so worried about you. I'm sorry about what happened earlier. I was walking too fast. She asks him why he bought her. Dennis replies, for no reason. I just remembered something from a long time ago. That's all. He then asks her for her name, or the name he should call her for now. She tells him her name, and they get to know each other. Dennis thinks about what a teller should do. He tells her, use the second floor as you wish, and if you don't want to stay, you can leave. You are free. A teller is very surprised, but it becomes clear that she is very hungry. So Dennis takes her and prepares food for her. He finishes preparing the meal and gives it to the girl. She begins to eat, finding it incredibly delicious, eating quickly and eagerly as if she had never eaten before. Afterwards, tears stream down her face. Dennis thinks to himself, I don't know what she's been through, and if she doesn't tell me, I won't ask. He then asks her, is the food delicious, Deller? But she can't answer, her face red because all the food is stuck in her throat. He tries to help her swallow the food. After that, Dennis watches Ashler clean and polish the table. Then she joins Dennis in all his work, helping him prepare his restaurant, which he has named the Adventurer's Restaurant. They finish setting up the restaurant together, hoping it will bring them good fortune. Dennis then tells her to be their advertising girl, and she agrees. He reviews the items in the restaurant and finds everything is ready. The first customer enters the restaurant, opening the door. They find a man wearing full armor, his face hidden. Who is this man? What is his identity? What does he want, and why is his face hidden? Wait for us in the next episode to find out together. We hope you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all our new updates. Today's episode begins with Dennis as his first customer enters. The customer is cloaked, and to Dennis's surprise, wearing full armor. Dennis, having studied the book How to Open a Restaurant Thoroughly, remembers page 64, which states, "Among your customers will be those who prefer not to be disturbed, respect their privacy, and make your restaurant a place where they can easily spend time." So Dennis tells him, "All right, sir, please have a seat wherever you like. Here, Atelier, give him some cold water." The customer sits down and opens the menu to decide what to order. Dennis is very excited and says, "Perhaps he'll order rice or pasta. I'll take good care of my first customer." The customer points to the small rice dish and some other items. Atelier brings the water and Dennis asks him, "Customer, why aren't you speaking? Tell me, do you want a large dish? Do you not have much money?" The customer replies, "Yes." Dennis then asks, "All right, customer, do you like katsudon fritters?" The customer nods yes. Here, Dennis insists on bringing him that very expensive dish, shocking the customer. Finally, the customer speaks, shouting, "Wait, please, I don't have much money for this order." We then realize it's a girl's voice. Dennis tells her, "Be quiet. I can't let my first customer eat a small meal. You don't need to pay anything." But wait, what's that sound I hear? Did I hear a girl's voice? Are you a girl? The beautiful girl confesses that she was expelled from her guild because she's a girl. They told her, "Female swordsmen are weak and annoying in various ways and we don't need one in our group." But she argues, that's not true. Gender has nothing to do with skill. A girl can be the strongest of the strong, stronger than men. Dennis agrees with her. She then tells him she's at level 23, which is truly amazing. She then mentions that in the strongest guild, the deputy leader of the Silver Wing Battalion is a female duelist, whose Crimson Lightning Sword is always the first to strike in every battle, landing a very powerful blow. She's a legendary duelist. Dennis tells her he knows her well. She's a truly dangerous woman. Dennis realizes this is why she hides her gender and is looking for a party to join. But unfortunately, she can't join any party without speaking to them. And that's perfectly normal. After all this chatting, her order is finally ready. It looked truly beautiful. "I'm hungry, my friends. Are you hungry too?" she asks. She tells him, "Look, I really don't have any money. Are you sure this is free?" He replies, "Just eat, lady. Don't worry about it. The bill is on me." She eats and finds it absolutely wonderful, to the point of devouring it greedily. She had never tasted anything like it before. She finished the food as if she had swept and washed the dishes. He tells her, "This time it's free, just because we were trying out the taste of the food. But after this, you have to pay. Your pockets must be full, and promote us as you leave. Tell people about our beautiful restaurant. And until you find the party you're looking for, you can stay and work with us here." The two men then went to the restaurant to taste the food, finding it delicious. The rice was perfectly cooked, and the pasta had wyvern meat. They also found the girl working there very charming, and her food delicious. Ailier blushed at their compliments. Dennis thought to himself that Ailier resembled a cat a little, remembering her previous state. Afterward, Atelier served other customers, who thanked her for her hard work and diligence. The men then mentioned that this was their lucky meal before entering the dungeon. Dennis understood they were an adventuring party and asked if they needed a swordswoman, explaining he knew one who was looking for a party, possessed the necessary skills, and had an enjoyable personality. One of the party members agreed and asked him to bring her quickly, saying they would take her with them tomorrow. Dennis was surprised, not expecting to find a place for her so soon. However, this party currently lacked offensive power, which was a problem for them. The scene then shifts to Dennis, who went to Henry and told her he had found a party very quickly. She thanked him for what he had done for her, then told him she would join them immediately and promised to repay him as soon as she received her first payment. Dennis told her he knew it was strange to say this, especially since he was the one who found the party, but he wanted her to think and be more cautious in choosing her party. Henry reassured him, saying that if he were to overthink everything in life, he wouldn't be able to do anything. Dennis told her the decision was hers, as he always wanted to see her well. He then offered her a dish of oryakadon with cockatrice meat. Henry thanked him profusely for his kindness. When she tasted the food, she found it incredibly delicious. She then told him she needed to earn a lot of money quickly to repay her debt, which puzzled Dennis since he had told her he didn't want anything from her. After finishing their conversation, Henry left the restaurant. We then see Dennis and Atelier preparing a lot of food. As night fell, Dennis stood washing dishes. At that moment, he saw two girls eating in the restaurant, looking happy, as they had found a wonderful place. When Dennis saw them, he asked Atelier to bring him the shop sign. At that moment, the two girls sat talking. One told the other that recently an adventuring party had accepted a solo girl, then attacked her inside the dungeon. Her friend was surprised and asked why such people weren't arrested, as they take girls to depths they can't return from alone, then abandon them after they've had their way with them. They do this twice almost, then move to another town. Dennis heard all of this, shocked by what was happening, and kept thinking about their conversation. After that, we moved to the guild, where Henry met the people there and told them she was a skilled swordswoman. Many people stood before her to cheer her on. Then we see the adventuring party approaching her to introduce themselves. We then see them heading into the forest to begin their work. Henry asked them about the type of mission they would be undertaking. They told her it was a simple task. They would go to the dungeon to collect some items, and they would tell her more inside the dungeon. Henry agreed to their terms, even though she wanted to know more, but didn't want to seem intrusive. She decided to do what they told her. When they arrived at the dungeon, Henry killed the monster in front of her with a single blow, which was expected from a swordswoman like her. Everyone congratulated her on what she had done, as having someone like her among them brought them a sense of security. Henrietta thought, "This is the first time I've felt someone rely on me. I've always been treated as if I were weak because I'm a woman, or they acted with excessive caution around me. But perhaps things will be all right with these people. I'll do my best." They continued on their way when suddenly a massive monster appeared before them. Henrietta attacked it with all her might, severing its leg and arms, striking it many powerful blows, and finally killing it. She then apologized to them, saying, "I'm a bit tired. How much further do we have to go? I thought we wouldn't venture too deep." Her companion told her their destination was very close. Then Still spoke, saying, "These glowing blue-green crystals are called memory crystals. This is what we came for." Henrietta was amazed and then became very tired, collapsing. Still asked Marmok to cast a spell on Henrietta to heal her. However, Marmok cast a paralysis spell on her instead, so she couldn't move her body. Still told her, "You're foolish. We just flattered you a little, and you exhausted yourself," Womak told him. "Don't call her foolish, because thanks to her we'll have enjoyable memories." You Still replied that swordswomen are the most delightful. They aren't annoyingly smart like sages or sorceresses, and their bodies are wonderful too. I'll cast the paralysis spell on you again. If you're lucky, someone will save you. Henrietta thought to herself, as the manager said, I should have been more careful. If I had been more alert from the beginning, I would have sensed that something was suspicious. She screamed and called out for anyone to save her, but there was no one in the vicinity who could hear her voice and come to her rescue. Finally, the cloaked man arrived and attacked them. Everyone was terrified by his immense power. They tried to cast a search spell to find his weakness, but it was useless. He was incredibly strong, at level 99. The gap between their levels and his was enormous. He began attacking them one after another with astonishing speed. Suddenly, the girl thought to herself that he moved as if he were an extremely skilled chef, and she immediately fainted. The scene then shifted to Henrietta, who was recounting the previous night's events to the chef. She didn't know he was the one who helped her, as he had been wearing a mask. She said that when she woke up, she was lying in the Adventurers Guild waiting room. She couldn't even thank the mysterious, muscular, knife-wielding man. The party members who attacked her were unconscious, tied with ropes, and left at the dungeon entrance. When the guild investigated, it turned out they were a criminal gang, all wanted. She felt it was a dream, but in any case, this proved she needed to be more careful in choosing her party members. Dennis apologized to her, explaining that he too was concerned and should have looked into them. Henrietta told him he was wrong, he had helped her, and she thanked him profusely. Suddenly, her stomach rumbled, indicating she was hungry, but she was embarrassed because she had no money. The chef told her, "It's all right, eat whatever you like." She ordered a specific meal, and he began preparing it. The two girls from earlier entered to eat. The chef quickly prepared and served their food, and they found it delicious. Then, one of the girls asked the manager why he hadn't opened the day before, saying it was unreasonable to close the restaurant 2 days in a row. He apologized, explaining he had something he needed to take care of. Henrietta imagined the manager was the same person who had rescued her the night before. Before she could speak, a customer entered the restaurant to eat. Who could this customer be, and what does he want? They call him Vivi the Sorcerer. Wait for us in the next episode to continue these wonderful adventures together. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all new updates. Our episode begins with Henrietta, a girl with beautiful golden hair, asking Dennis, "What do you think about me working with you here?" He tells her it's a good idea, but she needs to master the work perfectly. Now, he's going to prepare a famous dish for her, delicious ramen. As for her wanting to hide her gender and wear a helmet to become an adventurer so no one assaults her, that's probably very difficult. Even if they don't see her, they'll surely hear her. But in the end, she has complete freedom. The important thing is, her order is ready. I've put 2 slices of meat on it, a little bit of pepper, and an egg from my Indian chickens. Henrietta doesn't eat, but thinks a lot about Dennis's words when he told her, "You have complete freedom, but in the end, you are a girl." She quickly enters the bathroom, takes off her armor, and then comes out as her true self. Atelier welcomes her, saying, "Well done, by God, this is the best thing you've done. Be confident in yourself now." She then eats the delicious instant noodles while talking to Dennis, telling him, "Your words affected me greatly, as if you were weighing words of gold, the words of a master chef." Dennis replies, "Don't say that, I'm just an ordinary person. Don't flatter me too much, so I don't get too proud." He continues, "Anyway, let's get to the important part, sweetie. Every day you come to eat under the pretext of looking for work, and you eat for free. I didn't open this restaurant for God and country. I opened it to make money. Go find a good job and settle your bill. Yes, I gave you the first meal for free, but not every time. Have some shame." Meaning, work? At that moment, a strange person enters. They still don't know if it's a man or a girl. They open the menu and look at the items, but they're undecided what to order. "What do you think of the pasta? Are pastas very good?" Dennis asks. No, it won't work for me. It's heavy and gives me heartburn," the person replies. Dennis then asks, "What do you think of udon, a type of dish?" The person says, "No, it's also heavy on my stomach." Dennis gets angry and frustrated. "Then what do you want? Get out, don't bother me." Henrietta calms him down, saying, "The customer is always right, sir. Don't deal with him with such force." At that moment, Atelier approaches her and tells her, "You should order the fried rice, it's really good." And indeed, she agrees to this, and from that, we know she is a girl, not a boy. Dennis quickly prepares the meal. He was very fast, as it's his famous profession. In just 10 minutes, the food was ready. She eats it and indeed finds it very good. While she's eating, she starts a conversation, saying, "I'm going to talk to you about a topic that always occupies my mind. The people around me are very low level. Their mentality is weak. All they think about is completing the tasks in front of them and earning meager sums. They never aspire to become part of the elite." Dennis looks at Henrietta and says, "See? See the people who want to be something? Who want to work and struggle, not just eat?" She replies, "Huh? What are you saying?" He says, "I'm saying what you heard. You can't gather crumbs. Perhaps you should bury yourself underground." She tells him, Note that your words are hurtful, and I'm not used to such harsh talk. The blue-haired girl then continues, saying, these people always lack ambition. You are showing a group of passionless individuals. They are duelists without a duel. It's truly unforgivable. Yes, I'm talking about adventurers. True adventurers exploration, exploring unknown lands. But when I talked about this, they kicked me out of my party. They told me, get out of here, you crazy girl, we have nothing more to say to you. Dennis is surprised and says, what? They kicked you out too? He then says to himself, what's going on? Our restaurant only attracts outcasts. He then speaks to her saying, be careful what you say. Don't get too enthusiastic because you'll end up alone and won't find anyone. She then gives him money for the food and identifies herself as Vivia, then leaves. The next day, we see Vivia again. She has decided to join the Night Mist team. When one is as great as I am, one finds oneself popular. Vivia was very proud of herself. Dennis tells her, it's not Shabawaya, it's Shabia. In Shabia, both meaning popular / folkloric, but he corrects her pronunciation. And don't be too proud of yourself or you'll suffer in life. But I'm very happy that you have great enthusiasm, and that in itself is a beautiful thing. He then prepares shrimp fried rice for her and she eats it. It was truly a delicious meal, so much so that even as I'm making this video for you now, I want to eat that dish. Do you also want that, my friends? Write your favorite dish in the comments. Then he asks her when she will start her first mission with that group. She tells him probably tomorrow. Her first mission is to collect rare materials for synthesis, so they will most likely head to the 5th floor of the Demis. At that moment, Dennis decides to assess her level and finds that her level is 17. He thinks this is somewhat high for her age, but for the 5th floor, it's recommended that an adventurer be in their late 30s. It's not an area where it's advisable to bring an adventurer of her level. He asks her, after analyzing her and talking to himself, isn't this deeper than what you are ready for? She replies, I know, manager. It will be fine, God willing, but it seems most of their party members are elite and will provide me with full support. Dennis then talks to himself, saying, a person's level is a measure of the number and quality of skills they have acquired. And the reason for the increase in basic stats at each level is that skills become more precise and remain effective most of the time if they have actually acquired and practiced many advanced skills, not just read about them. She then asks him, Dennis, what about you? Haven't you entered Demis before? He tells her the last time he entered was on the 37th floor, and it was very dangerous. They encountered a monster there, but thankfully they defeated it. She then gives him the money for the food and leaves to go to the 5th floor. Hours later, Dennis and his assistant leave. He talks to himself, saying, what's the story? Maybe she went to the 5th floor. I'm worried about her, and why am I always worried about everyone like this? Maybe I should go to her quickly and force her not to go. As they were walking through the market, 2 people passed by Dennis. He overheard them talking about the child Vivia, and how they forced him to go down to the 5th floor just to see if he would come back alive or not. They mentioned that Commander Hoberg truly does frightening things, because most who went down to that floor died. Dennis ran after them and hit them. They didn't understand why he did that, so he told them he wanted to talk to them about something. They informed him they were members of the Night Mist team. They then attacked him to hit him, but Dennis crushed them and left them. Afterward, he told Atelier that they would close the restaurant today. She asked him about dinner, and he told her not to worry, he would manage. The scene then shifts to the Demas, where we find the child Vivia running from monsters. He's alone, and doesn't know what to do. He remembers the words of the Night Mist team members when they told him that the commander had high hopes for him, and that he must do this, as it's a test to join their team. He keeps running, and when he was running, he fell to the ground. A very strong rope wrapped around his leg, and magic flowed around the rope, preventing Vivia from breaking. He tried to remember the breaking spell, but couldn't recall it at all due to extreme fear. His mind was completely blank, even though he had carefully read all those books and written them down repeatedly, thinking he had memorized them perfectly. But he couldn't do it. In this situation, the monsters would find him and stab him repeatedly with those broken-bladed knives, and his body would be torn to shreds. Suddenly, magic came from afar, from someone, and released Vivia's leg, allowing Vivia to escape far away. At that moment, Vivia hid with a girl in that place, so no one would see them. He then thanked her for what she did for him. Luckily, she could use that ancient spell. He then told her that he didn't know about this place before, and that they must find a way to get out of here. He told her his name was Vivia, and the girl told him her name was Cyndia. Vivia asked her if she had lost her way and ended up here, or what. She told him that her party had left her behind when they were fleeing from monsters, and she got caught in the same trap, but no one came to rescue her. They all fled and left her. No matter what she did, she was never good at the basics and caused them a lot of trouble. She then told him that she had exhausted him with her words, as he had nothing to do with it. Anyway, he was waiting for his party to come and rescue him. Vivia replied that he was just like her, no one came here to rescue him, and perhaps he was too arrogant. His party, which he joined, got into conflicts with him, as his personality was very bad. Cynthia told him that he wasn't like that. He was surprised because she didn't know her, and then he told her that he had never spoken to a stranger before and didn't know how to describe it, but he felt better with her. After that, he heard the sound of monsters again. Vivia spoke and told her that he would become bait and distract the monsters, and during that time she should escape, even if she had to leave him. She replied that she couldn't do that. If he didn't survive with her, she wouldn't do anything. Vivia told her that if she hadn't saved him, he would be dead now. This was the first time he had felt this way, and when he thought about it, he realized he had lived selfishly all his life, looking down on those around him and always thinking he was different from them. But now she had saved his life and surrounded him with her kindness. He wished from the bottom of his heart that she at least would survive, so he would go out first and distract them, and meanwhile she would escape. And indeed, Vivia went out in front of the monsters to distract them, using a palm strike spell to create a barrier between her and the monsters. The monsters tried to break this barrier, and they succeeded. Suddenly, a masked man appeared. When Vivia saw him, he became very scared and tried to hit him with his spells. The man tried to calm down. When Vivia heard his voice, he recognized it as Dennis, the restaurant manager. Dennis used his power and created a large, strong barrier between them and the monsters. Then Dennis spoke and asked him why he jumped in front of the goblins, as he had made him worry and they needed to hurry out of there while the opportunity was available. He took him to escape. Vivia told him that there was another person, a girl who saved him from those goblins. Vivia kept looking for her but couldn't find her, so he thought she had escaped. Dennis told him that he hadn't met anyone on his way. Vivia went to that hollow to look for her and found the remains of a skeleton. Vivia was shocked because she was a girl he was talking to and he didn't know she was a skeleton. When they went to the Adventurers Guild, the employee told them that this girl was named Cynthia. She was basically 10 years old and worked as a sorceress, and 13 years ago, she separated from her party on the 5th floor, and her fate was unknown. She must have passed away there. After that, Dennis and Vivia took the girl's body and buried her, as Vivia was very sad about her. Dennis told him that he had heard about this before, that adventurers who die in the Demus sometimes save living adventurers. Vea kept crying over her and told her that he would always visit her grave and become the world's greatest sorcerer, no matter the cost. And he would save girls like her, no matter the cost. At night, Dennis and Vivia returned on their way. Dennis tried to make Vivia laugh and told him that he was hungry and would prepare fried rice for him to eat with him, as he didn't want him to remain in this state, for the girl Cynthia was now resting peacefully in her grave. Meanwhile, Vivia felt a specter coming from the girl's grave. He wondered about it, saying to himself that in ancient times people went through mysterious experiences, things they couldn't explain, and things that touched their hearts, so they started calling it magic. If that was true, then she was indeed a sorceress. The scene then shifted to a girl standing on a very high image of this church. She was very sad, but we don't know what was wrong with her. Thus ends today's episode. If you liked the video, please click like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. Our episode begins with Bachel at her workplace. Her boss calls her over and reprimands her for not finishing the reports. Bachel apologizes, but her manager and everyone else start mocking her. Bachel explains that the achievement bonus figures don't match, no matter how hard she tries. Her boss hits her head with papers and tells her to keep working until all the numbers align, scoffing at her for being at the 32nd level, yet still not being good at her job. Then we see Bachel at her desk, working diligently. She mutters, "The number of collected items is wrong. No wonder the achievement bonuses didn't make sense. Senpai has been working here longer than me, yet he keeps making silly mistakes, and I still have to wake up at 3:00 a.m. for an early mission. I haven't eaten anything for lunch or dinner, and now all the shops are closed." Bachel then remembers hearing about a new restaurant and heads towards it, but she sees Adelea closing the restaurant. She feels sad because she's very hungry. Adelea notices her distress and goes inside to tell Dennis that there's another customer. Bachel appears and asks him to prepare some food, to which Dennis agrees, asking her to choose whatever she likes. She takes the menu and chooses the daily special. Dennis begins to cook. Bachel realizes the place is very nice and decides she'll spend her vacation here. Dennis finishes preparing the food and places it in front of Bachel, who is amazed by its appearance and aroma. When she eats the food, she is astonished by how delicious it is. Henrietta tells her the food here is very tasty and recommends she try the Fritra and Magic Ramen dishes, as she was the restaurant's first customer and knows all the dishes. Bachel looks at them as everyone talks together and begins to laugh, then suddenly cries. She apologizes to them, realizing that there is delicious food in this world and a warm place like this and kind friends like these. Every day she faces undeserved anger and harsh words at work, is forced to work late, and wakes up every morning feeling like she wants to die. She then remembers past days when she was very young and was skilled at using magic. When she grew a little older, she said goodbye to her family and left to become a greater sorceress. She then joined the magic school and became exceptional, with the principal asking her to join the teaching staff. Bachel then decided to join an adventurer's party to earn money quickly. We return to the present and see Bachel leaving the restaurant. Dennis and the girls are surprised by Bachel's strange state. Vivia then says he remembers that girl. She was from the Night Fog troupe. This troupe abandoned him long ago, leaving him to die. He doesn't know her well but saw her once, and seeing her now disturbs him because her manager treats her so harshly. Henrietta suggests to Dennis that they should do something and save Bachel, but Dennis refuses, telling them he's just a chef and all he can do is feed people. Early the next morning, we see Bachel waking up, but she can't move because she didn't get enough sleep. She arrives at work late and everyone starts scolding her. They then enter the dungeon. While a monster is attacking the manager, Bachel uses her magic and defeats the monster, but her manager still treats her harshly. Then we see Bachel walking in the city, remembering the insults from her party members and how she was always wrong and that they lost because of her. Viviette and Henrietta then see her by chance. We then see Bachel standing on a tall tower, thinking to herself, "I never expected things to come to this. Perhaps, my friends, she's contemplating suicide." At that moment, Vivia and Henrietta are watching her. She continues, "Perhaps there's no purpose in living. I'm just one step away from leaving this life." Then she falls, and Henrietta falls after her, trying to save her. Vivia then uses her superpowers to create a protective wall, and Bachel lands on it. Thankfully, everything turns out well. The scene shifts to Dennis. A girl enters, but she's naked. He's shocked and exclaims, "Why are you naked, you idiot? You can't do this." She replies, "I'm so sorry, but I couldn't find the towel." He gets even angrier and tells her, "You shouldn't do this and walk around naked." He brings her a towel. Then Vivia and Henrietta enter and see the situation. They remember something else, as if he was undressing her. He explains the misunderstanding, saying he was just very angry. After that, they see Bachel, the customer who dined with them today. She seems to be suffering from some illness, so they immediately put her to bed. She needs complete rest and shouldn't think about anything else. That girl is from the Night Fog troupe, and it's probably impossible for her to find peace. Dennis says, "I will talk to that troupe and inform them." Indeed, in the evening he meets with them. The troop leader speaks to him saying, "We apologize very much. I heard that one of our members caused you trouble." Dennis replies, "No, I am the one who should apologize, because I knocked 2 of your men to the ground a while ago." Then the troop's commander introduces himself as Hopper, leader of the Night Fog troop. "I heard your food is delicious." At that moment, Dennis assesses this man and realizes he's at level 51, a very high level for a normal adventurer. Regarding Bachel, Hopper says, "Don't worry about her, she's resting now, and I hoped you would agree to her leaving your party to receive treatment." They tell him, "That's impossible, and it will cause us a problem. We will take her with us." Then they give him the contract she signed. Dennis talks to himself, saying, What? Did she really sign this unfair contract? This amount of work should not be placed on one person. Perhaps their methods are very harsh." He tells them, "An adventurer is free to join or leave a party." But Hopper interrupts him, saying, "This is not something you decide, Dennis." Dennis then gets angry and tells him, "What a scoundrel you are. You exhaust her to the bone and retire her after extracting every last drop from her. You call yourselves an adventurer's party? Don't make me laugh, you fool. Are you just a gang of cruel swindlers?" Hopper gets angry and breaks the cup he's holding, then says, "You're in our territory here, you idiot, and that means we are the law. From today, there's no government, we are the government. If you don't want to get hurt, quickly hand over Bachel immediately." The scene shifts to Bachel after she is woken up. She asks them, "Why didn't you let me die? Death was better for me than everything. I've suffered so much and endured so many hardships." Atelier tells her, "You shouldn't do that. To die as an infidel. I thought like you about this suicide, and it took everything from me. Then they exiled me to another country after selling me as a slave. At that time, I thought about death. I felt there was no good for me in this world. But I remembered God, and that all this is by divine decree and measure. And then God decreed that something beautiful would happen in my life that would change my whole life. This man, Dennis, met me and changed my whole life. So you should not think about this again and trust in God's power." The scene then transitions back to Dennis and that despicable group. The leader of the gang then tells Dennis that in every city with a dungeon, the strongest party holds the real power, because no one can rival them. The Silver Wing Brigade is a clear example of this. However, unlike the Silver Wing Brigade, which has clients from royal and noble families, we only control this small town. But your place, chef, is a miserable shop, and we can easily burn it down. No one would even notice the burning of a small restaurant like this. Suddenly, Katie enters, interrupting their conversation. She praises the restaurant and starts talking to Dennis. He apologizes to her, explaining that he's in an important conversation. Katie gets very angry. She came all this way from the royal capital, and she expects at least a delicious meal. The gang members are surprised by this girl and want to know who she is. Finally, they realize she's the deputy leader of the Silver Wing Brigade from the mark on her back. Everyone is shocked that Dennis knows this very powerful girl, as she's in one of the strongest parties in the world. Dennis then asks his friend Katie to sit down so he can continue his conversation. He tells them that he doesn't want to fight here, but they must find a way for Bachel to leave the party. At this moment, Katie hugs Vivia, thinking she's a beautiful girl. They tell her that Vivia is a boy, and Vivia asks her, "What's your relationship with the manager? Dennis?" She announces to everyone that he was a former member of the Silver Wing Brigade and was, like my partner. Everyone is shocked by this. The gang leader is stunned by this revelation, realizing it would be very bad to make an enemy of a man like Dennis. He quickly burns Batial's contract and says, "I will allow her to leave the party. This discussion is over. I wish her a speedy recovery. We'll take our leave now." They depart, filled with immense terror. Afterward, Dennis talks with Katie and asks her what dish she would like. Then, Atelier comes out with Bachel so she can also prepare a dish for Bachel, who also wants to eat. They bring them the same dish, and they both start eating. It's incredibly delicious, and they finish their food in no time, utterly happy. They thank Dennis for the wonderful dish. With this happy ending, our episode for today concludes. Wait for us in future episodes. We kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon to receive all our new content. Denis, the legendary chef, refuses to return to the Silverwing squad. He suspects Atelier is dating a young man, but it turns out he misunderstood and the gift was for him. The episode ends with a new mission for the squad leader. Stay tuned to the end to find out what happens. Our episode begins with a girl entering a place and bumping into Vigo, the great fighter. At that moment, a squad was preparing to embark on a mission. He tells them to go, while he speaks to the girl, whose name is Katie, about Denis's privacy and how she met him. She looks at him in astonishment and says, "How could this news spread so quickly?" He replies, "I know everything before you even think it, but tell me, why did you go to him?" She explains that there was no specific reason, she just wanted to eat his food again after a long time. She then remembers the delicious fresh food, saying, "It's the best, Denis." She then says, Denis, I want you to come back to the Silver Wing." Everyone is surprised. He puts down the knife he was holding and says, "What's wrong with you all of a sudden?" She tells him that, frankly, without him, the Silver Wing is on the verge of collapse. He tells her he doesn't want to go back, even though he was the main pillar protecting the rear ranks. Now, after his departure, the squad members are very affected by his absence, unlike Vigo. He tells her that, doesn't matter, he likes his life at the restaurant. It's true that his regular customers are just fools, but he loves the restaurant. At this stage, he doesn't intend to return to that stressful and pressured party. She says to him, "Even if I'm the one asking you, I'm begging you, my friend." He approaches her and says, "I'm not an adventurer, I'm a chef in the end." We return to reality, and Katie says that the Silverwing must bring Dennis back. Before she can finish her sentence, he tells her, "No matter what you say to me, I have no intention of bringing him back, and don't get involved with him. This is an order from your leader." But she is very sad and says, "How can this be? Everything was going so well until now." But he gets angry, leaves her, and exits the place. The scene shifts to Dennis, where things are more flexible. Customers are everywhere, and Dennis is really happy because he will make a lot of money this way. Atelier is working with him very quickly. Everyone is really happy with this delicious food. At that moment, we see Bachel, the girl who wanted to commit suicide a week ago. She is now in good health and says, "Starting today, I'll live here and help at the restaurant, even if I don't get paid." Then Denis brings food and they eat it. The food was so delicious. This is the secret to the large number of customers who, after eating with him once, bring all their friends and family to this place. Henrietta was happy with the food, but Denis embarrasses her and says, "How long will you not pay for your food? This food is not free." Her face turns red and then dark from embarrassment, but she brought it upon herself, so we should not do this unless it is absolutely necessary. The number of customers increases more and more, and they are very excited about this good food. After that, the scene shifts to Henrietta taking a shower, but the water is very cold. She says, "I wish I could go to a nice bathhouse. It has been a long time since I've been in this state. I have to earn money quickly to be able to pay my debt to the manager." The scene now shifts to Denis and Vivia. He was confiding in her with his hand on his head, saying, "What a disappointment, what a disaster. I think Atelier has a boyfriend." Vivia asks him, "How do you know? And is this what you wanted to consult me about?" He replies, "Yes. Recently I started giving Atelier an allowance, and since then, she has been going out on dates all the time." Dennis was very angry and said, "When I tried to find out where she was going, I saw her walking with a boy holding hands." Vivia says to him, "Maybe it's just a friend." Dennis gets more and more angry, and he paces in the office as if she were his wife cheating on him. And he says, "No, he is a lover. He is her lover, but unfortunately I can't ask her directly face to face, as this would be very boring. If they are truly in love, he must come to meet me with a box of sweets first." Vivia tells him, "You are her father." Denis was very angry, and his eyes were full of sparks, as if they were a hot coal. He said, "If he is just a superficial, boastful, and weak person, I will not let him get close to her. He must be at least level 80 for me to approve of him." At that moment, Atelier comes in and says, "What are you two talking about?" He gets angry, stands up, and becomes nervous and unable to speak. Vivier tells her, "I wanted to learn to cook from Denis." So Atelier says to them, "Okay, I also want to learn to cook." Denis gets happy and says, "Okay, I'll teach you both. So go wash your hands and come quickly." After that, he begins the teaching process. First, they bring an onion to make katsudon, as it greatly affects the food. Atiyeh's eyes were crying from the onion, so he says to her, "Okay, you have to stand at an angle. I'm very worried about you." Here, Vivier says to him, "I also have a headache, Dennis. My eye hurts." His response was shocking to her. He told her, "Cheer up and finish." He tries to teach them everything. At that moment, he remembers when his mother was teaching him when he was young. He gets lost in his thoughts. Then Atelier calls out to him and says, "I was whisking the eggs and the shell fell into the dish." He then starts teaching her the matter many times until she becomes proficient in everything and finishes preparing the meal for the first time. Vivier also finishes her first attempt. They were really happy. After that, the bell rings. Atelier says, "Maybe I should go now." He asks, "Where are you going?" She replies, "I'm going outside." At that moment, she actually goes out without caring about anyone and doesn't respond to him, as if she were anesthetized. Dennis gets angrier and angrier because he doesn't know where she is going. At that moment, Bachelor comes out and he says to her, "You came at the right time. Say that katsudon if you want it, and this too, but I can leave the market for you. Maybe you should shop and bring these orders." She asks him, "Why don't you go yourself?" He tells her that he and Vivier will follow Atelier. At that moment, Henrietta also comes and says to him, "Hello, I actually went and took the party test today." He tells her, "This is not the time. You can go with Bachelor to shop now." Then he and Vivier fly off to look for Atelier. They were spying on her, and indeed they reach her and watch her from behind the fences. Vivier tells him, "You shouldn't do this." He tells her that he is her guardian now and must do everything for her and know where and when she goes. At that moment, the boy comes and Denise gets angry and says to Vivia, "Look at that wretched dog, how he stares at my girl like that. I will teach him a very harsh lesson." Vivia tells him, "Wait, you're not sure yet. It's good for her to have friends. You should know who this man is first." After that, they continue to monitor them, and they enter a jewelry store. Dennis gets angrier and angrier and says, What? Is he gonna get her a wedding ring? It's too early for a marriage proposal." He puts his hand on his head and says, "Oh, woe is me. I can't stay still and watch." Vivia says to him, "I have an idea." The scene shifts to Henrietta and Bachel, where Bachel asks her, "What's wrong, Henrietta? What's bothering you?" She replies, "I'm thinking about returning the money to my teacher, Denis. If the situation continues like this, the manager will start to hate me." Bachel asks her, "How can you not have money when you do a lot of individual tasks?" The other one tells her that she does get money, but she spends all of it on maintaining her weapon because she wants a very strong weapon, and because she is always on the front lines, her weapon gets scorched and needs to be reforged by the blacksmith again, and this requires a lot of money. At that moment, they hear someone saying, Did you hear what happened 4 days ago? The leader of the Night Fog was defeated by the restaurant manager. It seems that manager was a member of the Silver Wing. Yes, I heard that too. It's truly amazing, and I was really surprised. But I hope that the scum of the Night Fog squad don't try to cause trouble. The scene shifts to Dennis and Vivia. He borrowed a megaphone and put it on his shoulders and said to her, "This is not just a megaphone, as some people think. It's a magical tool used in speeches and theatrical performances. It's saturated with wind magic to allow the sound to be delivered over very long distances. Screaming loudly won't change anything. You have to show your skills now," she tells him. "Watch and stay still. I will use it in reverse, and now it will turn into a process of amazement." And indeed, my friends, they use this megaphone as a spying tool, and here Atelier and the person with her, they hear her saying to him, "Beautiful, I love this, my eternal treasure." Denis was so angry that he started causing problems, and people started looking at them and wondering what they were doing there in that place. At that moment, a thief comes, puts his hand on a bag, and flies away, running at his maximum speed. When Denis found out, he chased after him, but with great speed, as if he were a tiger walking on the ground. The speed increases more and more. The thief used the power of the wind and jumps off the houses, but nothing stops Dennis, and he says to her, "Do something, use your supernatural powers." And she indeed uses a formidable power, which is the glove hand, and he jumps on it and flies into the sky, to the point that he reached the clock square. Now he is observing his movements from above, and he will probably jump on him with a very powerful jump. He starts flying and moving on the gloves, and in the end he almost catches him, but the thief uses a strange trick and continues on his way. Here, Denis decides to drop Vivia so he can be faster. He calls on Bachel and Henrietta to catch this man. Here, Henrietta gets very angry and uses a great force, then catches him and hits him with a powerful blow and runs at him. He then once more has a powerful blow striking him, runs at him. He says to her, "Bravo, you're the best. That's an awesome move from you. We've been chasing him for a while, but we couldn't do anything to him." After that, they go to the restaurant and Denis tells them everything, but they are still not sure yet. They were talking together about Atelier and how Denis was very angry about this matter, but he didn't know what to do. They started discussing the matter and each one of them gave her opinion. After about half an hour, the door knocks and Atelier enters. She then comes to Denis and says, "Please, this is a gift for you." He is surprised and says, "What? Is this for me?" She says, "Yes, I saved my allowance and then asked for help from a goldsmith to get you this. It's the same color as Denis' eyes." Everyone understands that this boy was working with the goldsmith, which means that the manager misunderstood and judged her unfairly. She asks, "Misunderstood what? I don't understand anything." They tell her, "The manager thought you were in a relationship with this boy." Dennis gets angry and says, "Wait, don't talk, you idiot." Then he says, "Nothing, nothing." Then he puts on this thing, and it was really beautiful and looked great on him. After that, the scene shifts to the leader of the Silver Squad. He then comes to this man, the leader also, and says to him, "It has been a long time since you came here, and I now want you for a job." What is the job, my friends? If you want to know, you should follow the channel and activate the bell button to receive everything new. Several days later, Dennis tells Atelier to lock up for a break so they can make dinner preparation. But a medieval version of Alfred suddenly walks in and drops to his knees while crying about how long he has searched for. Upon seeing this, Henrietta immediately grabs her sword in case he is a PDF, but Vivia tells her to wait until they figure out what he wants. Dennis then asks who he is, so Stephen introduces himself as the head butler of the Workstat family and says he came to take Atelier back home. While Dennis and Henrietta try to figure out who the Workstats are, Bachel and Vivia completely lose it and explain that they are only the most powerful family of wizards on the planet. Stephen then further explains that Eight's dad had a younger brother named Joseph, who claimed the family's wealth for himself and made everyone believe that Eight was an illegitimate child, so they could throw her out. Luckily, Stephen managed to find her dad's will and used it to gain approval for an investigation by the judicial court, so they can reinstate her as the head of the family. As he excitedly tells her that it's time to take back what belongs to her family, she refuses to go and grabs Dennis in fear as all the traumatic memories flood her mind. Dennis quickly senses this and considers sending Stephen away, but he ends up convincing her to go back because she can't run from it forever. However, she only agrees on the condition that he has to be there, so he decides to go along with her. Minutes later, Vivia puts on his best suit and asks Dennis if it's really okay to join them. So Dennis reminds him that he spent the last few minutes begging like his life depended on it. After M14 comes out, Henrietta and Bach promise to take care of the restaurant. So they get into the carriage and head out. Hours later, they finally make it into the royal capital. And when Dennis tells Vivia to stop making his low-class upbringing so clear, Vivia proudly accepts that he is a peasant and continues enjoying the view. A couple minutes after this, they arrive at the judicial court and meet Barrister Sestich, who then explains that he will be overseeing the investigation before taking them inside. He then asks for some of her blood, so Stephen grabs the needle, but Atelier immediately refuses to let it get close to her body. Dennis then manages to convince her again, but she passes out as soon as Stephen draws it. So, Dennis hands her over to Vivia before asking Sestich for the details of her case. Sestich starts by explaining the powerful hypnotic magic her family was known for, and says she could possibly have that power as well. He then explains how her uncle Joseph allegedly unalived both her parents and convinced the entire royal capital that she was not of royal blood, just so he could easily take over. Thankfully, with her father's will clearly stating that everything belongs to her, they only have to prove that she is the legitimate daughter for both her dad and mom. For this, Sesvich takes them into the courtroom to test out the DN, a matching orb meant to be used during the hearing. After pouring in 8 layers blood, he adds that of her dad and mom as well, before explaining that the pink crystal formation shows that it's a match. The following day, they all return to the same courtroom for the hearing, and Lord Joseph immediately starts trolling Dennis for getting kicked out of the Silver Wing Battalion. When Dennis tries to respond, the judge calls his full name and demands silence. Vivia then remembers that his last name is connected to the most famous restaurant in the royal capital. But while he continues thinking about it, the judge proceeds to read Atlier's father's will. As soon as he completes it, Joseph's lawyer claims there is no way he can inherit everything because her mom was probably one of many mistresses her dad had fun with. Sestich then asks for the test to prove it. So the judge makes them all stand before the orb and says they have to draw straws to ensure a fair trial. Minutes later, Stephen ends up with a colored straw. So he climbs the podium and starts by combining Eight's blood with that of her father. As expected, the crystal forms. But when he adds her mom's blood to the mix, the crystal formation suddenly breaks down into a dark liquid. Upon seeing this, Sesvich demands a second test and accuses Joseph of tampering with the evidence. But the judge rejects his objection and rules in favor of Lord Joseph. After he decides to leave the family's collection of books to Atelier, Dennis notices something off about Stephen. So he takes a close look and spots blood in his hand. He immediately walks over and picks him up in front of everyone before demanding to know what he did. Terrified, Stephen admits that Joseph promised to reinstate him as head butler of the family, and this sends Dennis into a murderous frenzy. As he starts unleashing his powers, Joseph orders his knights to attack, but they all get scared of the flames and stand back. Vivia then grabs Dennis and reminds him that someone has to take care of Aer. So he decides to stop the rampage and ultimately accepts the judge's ruling. Minutes after this, Sestich takes them to the old cottage used to store all the family's books, and as soon as they enter it, Laer triggers a trap and sends her crashing into the basement. As Dennis tries to make sure she doesn't have a concussion, Sestich and Vivia suddenly lose it, as they realize that the books are all ancient texts containing powerful secrets and techniques that help Atlier's family become the greatest wizards. After Sestich explains that her dad probably meant for Allier to inherit the books instead of wealth, she decides to take it back to the restaurant, so everyone can read. But Vivia and Kestvich immediately tell her not to even think about it, because such knowledge should never become public property. The next morning, Dennis and Atelier get ready to leave. But, as Vivia walks out to meet them, he walks past a man eerily similar to Dennis, and struggles to believe his own eyes. After minutes of staring, he leaves, and a girl named Fiora shows up to ask Heath if Dennis is the counterpart he always spoke of. Will the books actually make up for all the wealth you lost? And how on earth is there a second Dennis? Comment overpowered chef to find. And don't forget to turn on post notification to make sure you never miss our videos. Our story begins with an endless line, a human river flowing towards a single destination. It seems to be a cue for Denise's restaurant, and indeed it is. As we suspected, friends, Denis has become a legend in our city. The youngest child knows his name as well as the oldest elder, and for one simple reason. He is a master of his craft. People journey from every corner of the map just to taste his beautiful food. You are about to witness true magic, he'd tell them. Here, you will not only eat, you will eat, and you will read. But, once you have finished your meal, you must leave immediately and make way for others. This is a restaurant, not a library. One day, a man with a kind face, his head wrapped in a turban that suggested he was from India, approached him. "Forgive me, Mr. Director," he said softly. "I am sorry to disturb you while you are so busy. I know my request is audacious, perhaps even illogical, but I believe that by analyzing the complete works of Monglemore, I may be able to heal my wife's illness. I know the true healer is God, but we are meant to seek out the means, for every disease has a cure. I beg you, please, let me borrow this book from you." In that moment, Dennis paused. He thought of Atelier, knowing she would look at him and nod her approval. But this was a special case. The crowd began to murmur, how wonderful, he'll let him borrow it. Suddenly, Denny's temper flared. "Silence, you fools," he roared, stunning the room. "This is a special case." The Indian man thanked him profusely, kissing his hand before departing at once. The demands on Denny were relentless, and he was forced to work at his absolute peak. Yes, my friends, he unleashed his full power just to keep up with the orders, knowing that if he slowed for even a moment, he would accomplish nothing at all. The scene shifts. It is another day in another time. A deep winter chill has settled over the land. We see a young boy shivering violently in the freezing air. Suddenly, something falls to the ground. He sees it, and with a burst of speed, he runs after the lady who dropped her money. He runs so far and so fast that by the time he reaches her, he cannot even catch his breath. Touched by his honesty, the lady takes him into her home and gives him a hot meal. Watch how he holds the spoon. It's clear he has likely never used one before. You can see it for yourselves and be the judge. He is a boy from the very depths of poverty. He was so happy for the food that he began to weep with joy. Yes, my friends, that little boy was Dennis in his childhood. He awakens with a start, pulled from a dream of his past. He had lost consciousness, and now his friends are all gathered around him. He was utterly exhausted, yet he tried to get up to continue his work. "Don't," they told him gently. "You shouldn't do anything in this state. We have closed the restaurant for today." He fell back, his body burning with fever, his temperature soaring past 40 degrees Celsius. It was likely just a bad flu that would pass, God willing. For now, he needed to rest. And when he woke, he would need to take his medicine. Everyone agreed it was best to leave him to get some peace. As the others filed out, Atelier pulled a chair up to his bedside and sat down, watching over him. Meanwhile, the rest of the group debated what to do. Perhaps they could find a rare plant, or prepare a special kind of food. They were tense with worry, And as you know, people in a panic can be a whirlwind of disorganized energy. It was then that another man entered the room. His name was Sisyphich. "What happened?" he asked, his voice cutting through their anxious chatter. "We returned to find Dennis, still lost in the depths of his illness, lying in bed." Beside him, Atelier gently places a bag of ice on his forehead, hoping to quell the raging fever. But his condition doesn't improve. Racked with guilt, she apologizes to the unconscious Dennis, believing she is the cause of his suffering. As she watches over him, Dennis' mind drifts back once more to his childhood. He was a mischievous boy, full of restless energy. He found his way into a restaurant kitchen, desperate to learn the art of cooking. But his antics were a constant source of frustration for the chefs. They complained endlessly to the head chef, a wise and patient woman. She urged them to be patient with him, reminding them that he was a beautiful child whom she had taken into her own home. Home day, she promised them, he will understand everything. The memory sharpens. We see a young, beaming Denise walking towards the restaurant, proudly carrying a dish. He is ecstatic, believing he has perfectly replicated a recipe he observed using a special deconstruction skill to create the ultimate fried rice, where every single grain was separate and perfect. He was certain it would be delicious. Suddenly, a well-to-do lady enters the restaurant. Drawn by the wonderful aroma of his dish, she asks to taste it, remarking how impressed she is that a restaurant like Black's would have such a young, talented chef. But as she takes a bite, her face falls. The taste is terrible. Just then, all the chefs gather around. The head chef steps forward and, with a subtle, almost invisible motion, seems to use her magic on Dennis's dish to make it taste better. She apologizes gracefully to the customer. "Please," she insists, "try the rice now." The lady takes another bite, and this time, her eyes light up. "It is absolutely delicious," the head chef explains with a smile. "It seems our apprentice forgot to add a key ingredient." Later, in the kitchen, Denis approaches the head chef and apologizes for using a strange skill on the food. She asks him gently, "Do you understand the importance of using your skills correctly?" When he nods, she says, "Then it's okay." Denis begins to cry, telling her he thought he had made the perfect fried rice. The head chef comforts him, explaining that he simply needs to study more and listen carefully to others. Denis agrees. "But how did you do that?" he asks, his curiosity overcoming his sadness. "You changed my dish into something delicious. I saw it. I used a deconstruction skill, but you used a combination skill, didn't you?" She smiled. "That is very simple. I can do anything." A fire ignites in Denis' eyes. "Can I become like you one day?" The head chef looks at him, her expression full of confidence. "I am certain you will." We return to the present. Denis is still asleep, with Atelier now slumbering in the chair beside his bed, exhausted from her vigil. The scene shifts to Sisyphich, Viva, and Henry. "Why are you really here?" Viva and Henry ask Sisyphich. "I am obsessed with magic," he confesses. "Among the volumes that Lady Atelier inherited, there is one I am desperate to read. That is why I came." However, it seems Denis's well-being takes precedence over any magical manuscript. He then changes the subject. "So, what are you all planning to prepare for him?" "We are going to make him okay," Henry replies. Sisyphich nods thoughtfully. "To do that," he says, "you must cook the rice first. When the rice is cooked to perfection, only then can you truly begin to make the okayo. This means that what we should really be discussing is how to cook the most delicious rice using magic. We must cook the most delicious rice using magic," he declares, his voice ringing with excitement. The idea catches fire, and suddenly everyone is buzzing with energy. This method, they all agree, will create a meal with an unbelievably delicious taste. Immediately, they fall into a passionate discussion about the type of flame they should use. "We'll use a normal flame," some suggest. "No, a specter flame would be better," others argue. A third group proposes, "Let's combine the normal flame and the specter flame." "Are you mad?" Viva interjects, his voice sharp with concern. "If we combine the two flames, the cooking heat could become unstable." "Precisely," Sisyphich says with a clever smile. "We will use both the specter flame and the normal flame, and we will solve the problem of uneven heating by using a special pot, one that contains magical catalysts to stabilize the heat transfer. This, without a doubt, is the path to cooking the most exquisite rice using magic." Everyone cheers. "Now," Sisyphich continues, "we must ask ourselves, how do we transform this perfect rice into a delicious okayu using magic?" The girls suggest they take a short break before tackling that challenge. Just then, Polfo enters, carrying a book. He had heard the director was ill and came at once. To everyone's astonishment, the book contains information about a magical tool called the Rice Box, an artifact designed to make cooking delicious rice effortless. They quickly acquire the magical box, place the rice inside, and all they have to do is wait for the magic to work. Soon after, Atelier emerges from Denis' room with wonderful news. The director is starting to recover. His fever is breaking. Everyone is overjoyed. When Atelier sees them preparing the meal for Denis, she tells them she will add eggs to the okayu. They are thrilled. She is a master at preparing eggs. That evening, we see Atelier enter Denis's room. He is just awoken. She presents him with the egg okay. He takes a spoonful, and the taste is so magnificent that it instantly transports him back to his childhood, to the memory of the teacher who first taught him how to cook. He looks at Atelier, his heart full of gratitude, and thanks her profusely. And with that, the director regains his health and strength. With this happy ending, our episode for today concludes. We will see you in future installments, but we kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell to receive all that is new. Our episode today begins with Henrietta, wherever she may have been, feeling very happy and walking through the market. She greets everyone, young and old. Her grandmother says, "You seem to be in a good mood, my girl. What's wrong with you?" At that moment, she runs into Vivian. Vivian looks at her and says, "What's wrong? Why are you so happy and why are you carrying so many things?" Henrietta replies, "I'm so excited for the feast today, so I brought a lot of stuff." Then they meet the fruit and vegetable vendor. He says, "Welcome, you're very late. I hope you don't stay away again. You haven't been here for a whole week." They apologize, saying, "We're so sorry, but the adventurer's restaurant was temporarily closed." He asks, "Why? What happened?" They tell him that Dennis was sick and taking a break. The scene shifts to Dennis. He says, "What's up, guys? Are you ready?" "Of course, Attilia, you know where we're going. You won't need your apron." At that moment, Vivian and Henrietta arrive. "Come on, everyone, the moment you've been waiting for is here." But until now, we don't know where they're going. Henrietta begins to pull out the things they brought, a towel, soap, and a bucket. Everyone starts bathing. Dennis was very pleased with his muscles. Vivian says to him, "What are you doing? What is all this strength? What did you do to get all these muscles?" At that moment, when Dennis looks at Vivian, we realize that Vivian is a man and not a girl. Dennis asks him, "Why are you so skinny?" Vivian tells him that he doesn't eat much and doesn't care about his body or muscles, but he asks, "Tell me, what's the secret to those big muscles?" Dennis replies, "I'll tell you. If you do 2,000 push-ups every day, you'll look just like me." Vivian looks at him in astonishment and thinks to himself, "This Dennis is not human." They spend a lot of time in the bath and bathing. Afterward, in the evening, we see them outside. The weather was very nice and they had prepared food, slices, pies, shrimp, and juice. Henrietta speaks, "On this beautiful day, it is my honor and pleasure that you have gathered and prepared this place." They tell her, "Get to the point. Why are you rambling so much?" She says, "I'm sorry," and gets straight to the point. She says, "You all care about me and look after me so much, but finally, thank God, I've found a job." Everyone applauds for her. They ask her, "Where will you be working?" She tells them, "The truth is, I won't be joining the Adventurers Guild, but I've secured a position with the Knights. I thought about this a lot, but in the end, I decided that I want a job where I can truly help people." Everyone applauds for her once again. She was very happy. Then Dennis talks to Vivian and says, "And do you have something to say as well?" Vivian speaks and he says that he has found his next party, and that his first steps will be to become a powerful mage, and that he will do everything to become the strongest. Finally, it's Rachel's turn. She speaks as she rises from her seat. "As for me, I will return to my hometown." They are surprised and ask her, why? She tells them that after spending some time at her father's house, she will go to the capital to become a teacher at the prestigious School of Magic. Rachel said that after spending some time at her father's house, she would head to the capital to become a teacher at the School of Magic, as she was invited to teach even before her graduation. Vivian continued her speech and said that she graduated from a magic school in the royal capital and that she is very brilliant. Rachel thanks him for that and tells him that she doesn't know if she is really brilliant or not. Afterward, they have a celebration for their new beginnings, where they cook the most delicious food. Atelier lovingly feeds Rachel, as they have become very close friends. Then Vivian speaks with Dennis and tells him that everyone will be leaving, and it will be a little lonely. Henrietta gets emotional and tells him that he is right, and she might ask for her appointment to be postponed. Dennis scolds her and tells each of them to go and achieve what they wanted, for if it's important to them, they shouldn't give it up. Everyone realizes he is right, and Henrietta gets excited and tells them that she will leave the town tomorrow. Atelier tells her that her work hasn't started yet. Then Dennis cooks food and everyone is amazed by his cooking method, as he cooks them fried rice. Everyone sits down to eat, as they know it's very delicious. Then a man comes to eat with them and tells them that he found himself drawn here because of the delicious smell of this food, and he had never tasted such delicious fried rice in his life. Dennis asks him if he is the perverted general store owner. He confirms that he is. Dennis asks him for his name, and Atelier tells him that his name is Bolfo. Bolfo is very happy that she still remembers his name. Then he offers her to work for him now. Dennis hits him on the head and orders him not to dare poach their poster girl for another job. He tells him that he knows he helped him a lot today, so he allows him to eat this food. Then he tells him that thanks to him, he was able to eat the delicious egg soup, and he is thinking of new dishes he will prepare using that device, so he wants them to let him take this opportunity to thank Bolfo. Bolfo replies that he is the one who should express his gratitude to him, and then thanks him for dealing with him. Dennis asks him what he wants from them now. Bolfo replies and tells him that he heard they were having a barbecue party, so he suddenly offers them a feast, because he got a 5-grade Hogni meat. Everyone is amazed. Then Dennis says that since he took the trouble to do that, they will accept his good intention and enjoy the feast. Dennis then cuts the meat in an impressive and fast way, then fries it and starts eating. Everyone is happy with the deliciousness of the food. While eating, Bolfo says that he wanted to honor Atelier alone, and when he finds her feeding Dennis in his mouth, he asks her to feed him as well. Atelier feeds him. After they finish eating, they clean the table. Vivian talks to Dennis and tells him that he wanted to ask him something for a while. In the court, they called him by the name Dennis Blacks. So does this mean he has a connection to the Blacks restaurant? Then Dennis says, the name Blacks is from the head chef who raised me. She allowed me to use this name, but I left the restaurant after a fight, so I don't like using it much. That was when my level was close to 90. We had a big disagreement, and now, when I think about it, she was just trying to warn me. I also went through a similar phase, Vivian says to him, but I understand why you're so confident. Reaching level 99 at that age is almost the highest you can go. Dennis tells him, I thought I'd reach level 100 quickly, and that's why I left Black's restaurant. I traveled everywhere. I wanted to prove to the chef that I was right. Then Vivian says to him, and that's how you ended up in the Silver Wing Brigade. Dennis replies, yes, the Silver Wing was the place where I stayed the longest, and despite everything that happened, they took care of me there. But in the end, I didn't reach level 100. After that, the scene shifts to two girls who are thinking about what to eat today and go to a restaurant. but the place is closed due to business reasons. Then some men come and start a fight with them and hit them, but the girls use their magic and attack them, and they can't move until they apologize. Then we see a fire coming out of the restaurant. Dennis and his friends notice the fire coming from the direction of the restaurant. Dennis rushes to see what's happening. Then they help each other to put out the fire, but these girls come and tell them that those people are the ones who started the fire. Everyone gets angry. Then Vivian says that they are from the Nightfog Squad. The man speaks. "You are too arrogant. This is your punishment. And we are not the only ones from the Nightfog Squads. The Silverwing Brigade and all of the Rockstat group, we all want to destroy you. This is your end." Everyone is shocked and afraid of what the man says. After putting out the fire, they go inside the restaurant and feel very sad. Dennis remembers all the memories that happened with them. He remembers the beautiful memories they had in the restaurant and remembers Atelier as she served food to people. Everyone is sad about this. Vivian blames himself, saying that he is at fault because Dennis saved him, and now those people hate him and he got him into this mess. Each of them starts blaming themselves for what happened. Dennis tells them, "You did nothing wrong. I never imagined that the Silverwing Brigade would get involved as well. It's likely that Joseph and Rockstat ordered Vigo, who passed the orders through the Silverwing Brigade, and the Nightfog Squad committed the arson on their orders. That's all there is to it. I'm the one who interfered in your affairs without being asked. I was very arrogant." Vivian replies, "That's not true. You didn't do anything wrong, Dennis. Let's defeat them all together. Isn't that what we've always done? So let's do it this time too." Dennis says, "It's fine. I'll open a small restaurant in another town. I'm a little tired, so it's okay." Luckily, no one was hurt. Everyone gets excited to fight the enemies, but Dennis tells them, "I think I'm strong enough as an individual, but you all need a lot of training. The most powerful noble house in the kingdom and the strongest adventurer party have allied against us. And on top of that, they have quite powerful followers. We are not strong enough to face them alone. Thank you, my friends, for everything. We are finished for today." He then takes Atelier and leaves. Vivian shouts at the top of his lungs, "What happened to you? Where did the old Dennis go? Where did the Dennis who didn't hesitate to antagonize the entire kingdom for Atelier go?" Dennis replies, "I have come to my senses." Then he leaves them and walks away. A little later, Dennis returns to the burnt restaurant. He opens the safe and finds that the safe is fine. He takes the money inside and says, "If I make a move, they will follow me. And if we face them all, there will undoubtedly be casualties. Not all of us will get out safely, so I will leave before that happens." Elsewhere, we see his friends standing in front of the restaurant, very sad, and we notice a gang heading towards them. We return to Dennis and Atelier again. Atelier asks, "Can I go with you? I never want to see you sad," Dennis tells her. "Things like this happen in life. It was a beautiful town. When things calm down, we'll take a tour and come back here." Their fists meet, symbolizing their enduring bond and that they will always be together. This is where our episode ends today. Wait for us in the next episode to follow these exciting events together. We kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. The story begins with a major tragedy, the burning of Dennis's restaurant. Dennis is standing watching, unsure of what to do. His world turns black in that moment. Then, two girls appear and tell him the arsonists are from a group called Nightfog. Hours later, after the fire has subsided, Dennis checks his vault and finds his money is safe. He considers whether to retaliate, but then says, "I'll leave before that happens because I don't want any casualties among you." Meanwhile, the girls are standing there when a group of people, whose identities are not yet revealed, arrive. Dennis leaves the restaurant and finds them all gathered around. One of the girls tells him, "We won't allow you to run away at night, manager. I didn't think you were a weak and lazy man to this extent." Flavia then speaks, saying, "I finally realized what kind of person you are, Dennis. You can't bear to see others get hurt, but when you're the one who is hurt, you don't care at all. Please, look at everyone who is here. Do you know why the townspeople gathered here at this late hour? They all came to help you, Dennis." Dennis is shocked, thinking they've turned against him, but Flavia continues, "If you're sad, we'll all be sad with you. When you're hurt or in pain, we'll be hurt with you. Everyone is with you. We came from different places and ended up here. You were also kicked out, weren't you, Dennis? When a person is no longer needed, being kicked out may be inevitable, but this time it's completely different. Those who need you and want you among them are standing in front of you now. They scold him for not wanting to hurt anyone, but manager, no one will kick you out anymore and we won't allow it, they say. Even the disgusting man, Volfo, says, no one who harms Ethier or you will get away with it." They all gather around Dennis, promising to help him. "Let's fight together, manager." Dennis thinks to himself, "How silly I am. I'm the one who advised people not to give up what is important to them, and now here I am trying to give up. I must consult them on all my matters." Finally, he agrees, "Together we will fight, together we will rebuild, everyone is happy." He then tells them, "But I don't want anyone to call me weak and lazy." They suggest a name for their group, and Atelier proposes, "The Outcasts Restaurant." Despite sounding harsh, it would be unique because they truly are outcasts. Dennis then addresses the group. "Team Outcasts Restaurant and the good people of the town, listen to me carefully. We will crush the villains. Evil will never succeed in this world. Injustice doesn't last, and if it does, it will destroy. As for us, we are the oppressed, and the oppressed will triumph one day, and that day has come, the day of victory. As long as we have started, let's go all the way to the end. And now, let the counterattack begin." At that moment, Kitty arrives, apologizing for not coming to him and warning him from the start. Dennis tells her, "This is not your fault. Don't apologize. I know you well." Kitty remembers what happened. She had overheard the leader of a group saying, "Did you tell the Nightfog group?" And the leader replied, "It seems you misunderstood. I just convey the reality of the situation to them. How the Night Fog group chooses to act is their own business. The restaurant must